Have you ever felt like you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing with your content? So you might be showing up, you're posting, trying to be consistent, but it's just not quite landing with the right people. You might get some engagement, but it feels kind of surface level and not meaningful. Or perhaps that you're hearing from people who aren't quite the right fit, or maybe it's just quiet. No one's saying anything. And you're really left wondering if it's you, if it's your message, or if there is just something missing. There's a particular kind of frustration I know from personal experience that comes from the idea of putting effort into something that really, really matters to you and not seeing it land the way that you hoped. It can really feel disheartening, and over time, it might actually chip away at your confidence. And what often happens here is that you assume that the answer is to do more, to post more, to try harder, to follow another strategy, to listen to another expert, to buy another course. But more often than not, it's not about the idea of doing more, it's actually about doing a few things differently. So, in this episode, I want to walk you through a few small but truly powerful tweaks to your content that will help you reach the right people, the people who actually need to hear what you offer, who resonate with your message, and who are more likely to take that next step with you. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to this week's episode of the Content with Heart podcast. And welcome to a new month, a new season, and even the beginning of a new business quarter. Oh my goodness, it's all happening. I'm really looking forward to this month, to April, because it's Easter, which means family and chill time and catching up on maintenance around the house. And of course, most importantly, chocolate. It's my birthday next week and it's school holidays. And I don't know, the weather here is just so beautiful this time of year. It really fills my heart with joy. So I'm really looking forward to this month. I've also got a lot of other things going on in my life, like I know that you have too. So I know that it's going to be really challenging for me to keep all the balls in the air, but do you know what? I'm going to give it a go. That's the joy of being a business owner, right? Now, this morning I had a one on one session with a beautiful client of mine who I've worked with for a very long time, probably close to, I think, about 4 years now. And it was so lovely to see her face online and have a chat with her. We were actually talking about Facebook, and she told me a story about how she had boosted a post, but then got all of these random people commenting and liking her post. And she asked, how do I find the right people online? And this is such a good question. It's often not about a particular strategy or tactic, but just tweaking a few things that you're doing right now. I find that when your content isn't reaching the right people, like it wasn't in this circumstance, it really creates friction everywhere. When your content isn't reaching the right people, it can really begin to, I guess, cause friction everywhere in your business. You probably will end up spending more time explaining what you actually do. You attract inquiries into your life that don't align with who you are or the work that you actually do with people. You might even, I don't know, start questioning your pricing or what you offer when really it's a messaging and connection issue. So, when we think about content as being more than a marketing tool, it's really like this bridge between you and the person that you're here to support and to serve. And when that bridge isn't clear or aligned, or the pathway's a little bit bumpy, or there's something blocking the way, then people either don't cross it at all, or the wrong people are starting to cross that bridge. So when your content does reach the right people, when that bridge is clearly signposted and the right people are crossing it, then your message feels clearer to both yourself and to your ideal client. Your audience feels more engaged. They're more likely to come along on that content journey with you, and your offers feel easier to talk about, right? So it just feels like this natural next step for both you and your ideal client. And this is where you begin to shift with your content. It actually feels a little bit more lighter. It feels more intentional. It might feel like more of a conversation than a performance. So, if you're feeling like you're not reaching the right people now, I'm going to give you 4 small tweaks that you can make today in order to help reach the right people and really help them across that bridge. So, the first idea isn't an oldie, but a goodie, one that we probably hear a lot, but we don't actually action. And that is to speak to one person, not everyone. Now, when we try to talk to everyone, when we try to include everyone, we unintentionally exclude the very people we most want to reach. Now, when I first started my business over, oh my goodness, I don't know, I think it's like 8 years ago, maybe it's 9. I started as a virtual assistant and my website offered so many different services. It was everything from administration to bookkeeping to event management. And yes, I was able to do all of those things, but it confused my ideal client. When I was speaking broadly to everyone and not specifically, then my message really became too general. It lost its emotional edge. I was talking more about features rather than thinking about the possibilities that I was creating in people's life. It felt safe for me, felt very safe, but it also, looking back, it felt very distant. So if you're feeling like that at the moment, think about how differently you speak when you're talking one on one to someone that you care about rather than or versus like a full room of people. It's very different, right? You connect on a deeper level. You say what you actually mean instead of what sounds right, and you become more specific about what you're actually talking about. So think about bringing that to your content, right? Next time you create a piece of content, maybe choose that one person that can be real, it can be imagined, but be super specific. And right now, with this episode, I'm recording this with my client that I spoke to this morning in mind. I'm really speaking directly to her and her challenges and her questions that she had about content. So think about what that specific person is currently experiencing and let your content respond to that feeling of closeness and connection with them. Because when you are specific, it creates connection. It's just like talking one on one versus a room full of people. You're not limiting yourself. You are just really forming that connection. That is the first step that your ideal client will take on that client journey with you. In doing that, in being really specific, I want to remind you that you are not excluding others. You are simply anchoring your message. You are anchoring who you are, your values, your beliefs, and aligning that with the right people. And the right people are going to see themselves in that content. So, an example of this might be I could say very broadly, if you're struggling with content then and, create a piece of content around that. And it's true, a lot of people struggle with content, but I could be a lot more specific with that particular piece of content that I'm creating. I could open with something like, if you're someone who feels things very deeply and you opened Instagram, stared at the screen and thought, I have no idea what to say then, and then continue my piece of content. See how they're the same thing? It's talking about someone struggling with content, but in the second one, I'm being very specific about calling out the person who feels things deeply, and being very specific about the actions that they're taking. So think about doing that next time you create content. What is that person thinking today, and how can I give them the context around what I can do to help them? Now, the second tweak that I think that you can make to your content is thinking about creating your content with clear intention. And I know that I've already spoken about this in previous episodes. Back in episode 205, I gave you my intentions on how I want to create content and how I want my content to be received this year. So go back and listen to that episode if you need some ideas on how to get clarity around this. But I think a lot of content is created reactively, right? It's posting because it's been a few days or because you feel like you should be doing things a certain way. But when you don't have that intention, that reason, it just becomes something that you have to do rather than something that you feel like you want to do. They're very, very different feeling. And that's when content starts to feel disconnected, when you don't have that intention, when you don't have that reason. It just becomes something that you feel like you should be doing or that you're ticking a box. And do you know what? It actually starts feeling like that for the person who's receiving it as well. It doesn't feel like there is a deep reason and connection for creating that piece of content. And I think that's the problem with a lot of AI created content as well. It is perfectly polished. It says the right things. It ticks all of the boxes, but in much of it, there is something that's really lacking. And the thing that's lacking is the you part of it, as well as the intention. When your content has intention, it has a definite direction. It knows where it's going. You know where it's going. And most importantly, you understand how that bridge is going to move your ideal client closer to conversion, to actually purchasing from you. So to apply this to your content, you may think about introducing a simple filter before you create, right? Why am I creating this piece of content? Is it to connect, to build relatability? Is it to subscribe, to draw them closer to me in a community, on my email list, my podcast, my YouTube channel? Is it to nurture them? Is it to build that trust and depth of relationship with them? Or is it conversion, which invites action for them to actually purchase from you? It's really important to think about that intention, because one piece of content doesn't need to do everything, and it can't do everything really. Just choose one intention before you sit down to create your content. And to just give you some examples, a connection post on social media might share a personal moment or a challenge. A nurture post might guide or teach someone in your perspective. A conversion post invites them to take that next step with you. So before creating your piece of content, finish this sentence. The intention of this piece of content is to. Now, the third thing that you can do is to match your message to their stage. So one of the biggest disconnects, I think, in content is really speaking to people as if they're ready, right? When they're just not there yet. And when we do this, this is where your content can feel pushy or a little bit awkward, or you find people disengaging because it doesn't really feel relevant to them. This is easier to do, I think, with emails, especially in the subscribe and nurture stages, or even on socials if you're going through a launch phase. But it's harder, I think, on social media when you're not in a launch phase, because people could be at any stage of that client journey with you. But the idea here is just to spread out those pieces of content over time. So just do a connect one day, subscribe another, nurture another, convert another, and you're going to touch all of the people in your audience at the right moment. But when you understand where someone is in their journey with you, I think that this really helps your message become more supportive for them and more timely for them, and probably more meaningful as well. You know, think about that connect piece of content where it's all about I see you, and subscribe is stay close to me, and nurture is let me guide you, and convert is then this is how we work together. You know, I've spoke about the idea of this client journey and taking someone through a journey with you in so many of my episodes, but it's really about, at the crux of it, it's about realizing that trust and connection is built before conversion. Your content needs to help your ideal client go through those different stages, and in turn, those different stages need different conversations. So instead of, I think, jumping straight into that work with me all the time, which does end up feeling a little bit awkward and pushy, especially for a lot of heart-led entrepreneurs, think about perhaps validating your ideal client's experience and give them a perspective shift. Now, I did this at the beginning of this episode in the introduction. Go back and listen to it again if you want to. But, you know, I was talking about the emotional connection, about being frustrated that you're trying so hard, but it's not landing the way that you hoped. And then expanded on this by describing what usually happens. You know, you do more, and then offering a different perspective that actually may be about simply doing a few things differently. So when you're creating your piece of content, a great way to think about it is think about where is this person right now and what do they need next? What do they need not next? Not what they need at the end of the journey, but what do they need next? Now, the last small tweak that I think that you can make is choosing presence over perfection. Such a hard thing to do, I know. Perfection will often show up as over editing, overthinking, or simply just holding back, not pressing post or not publishing your piece of content. But this actually ends up creating these layers between you and your audience, and everything looks polished and the words have been changed, probably run through AI, but something is missing. Something feels like it's missing. Now, it's really about this presence and creating content from the heart. It's about being with your message while you create it. It's about allowing your thoughts to come through in a way that really feels honest and grounded rather than, filtered and perfected, which I find happens so much with the use of AI. Now, this client that I met up with this morning was asking me about what to post on socials, whether she was doing the right thing, whether it was okay. Now, I know from working with her in the past that her emails are so beautiful. They are truly from the heart. Yet that is what was missing in her socials. There was like this real disconnect. So I really encourage her not to worry about what the right content was, but creating the presence type content that from the heart that she was so good at doing. People connect with the honesty, with humans, with content that's created from the heart, not perfection. It's true. It's just so true. And it's such a hard thing for us to get over because we want to portray this image of everything being perfect and being successful. But, often behind the scenes, we are juggling all of the things. We don't have this shiny, perfect image that is often portrayed by others on social media. So when we bring it back to creating from the heart, thinking about the human that we're actually creating for, your energy can transfer through your content, which is another reason why perfection is not doing you any favors. Now, back in episode 202, I speak more on energy and how it's felt by your audience. So go and have a listen to that if you want to know more about energy and your content. Now, the content that you often hesitate to share, the one that you are sitting on perfecting over editing, is often the most resonant for your audience because it's the most real. Now, I wrote an email last week that was probably one of my most read and most opened in quite some time. And the subject line was simply, I can't be bothered. And it was an honest story of how that line of I can't be bothered has been playing over and over in my head recently, especially when it came to creating my own content for my own business. And it was that honesty, that lack of perfectionism and polished persona that really resonated with people. And I got quite a few responses to it, which was really, really interesting and has led to some amazing conversations with people. So I really encourage you that before you publish your content, you ask yourself, does this feel like me? Or does it feel like what I think it should be? Okay, so now you have 4 small tweaks that you can make to your content. How can you bring this to your business to make it a repeatable and sustainable process? The answer is simply to align it with what I call the 4 Ps to consistent content, which is about being prepared, having a plan in place, producing the content, and then having a process around it. So once again, I speak about the 4 Ps in a lot of episodes, but just quickly, I want to bring in what we've been speaking about today into the framework. So let's think about prepare. And this is about getting all of the ideas out of your head and onto paper. And when it comes to thinking about attracting the right people into your world, those ideas are around who am I speaking to? What are they experiencing right now? And what are their objections, their beliefs, their myths that they subscribe to, the actions or thoughts that need to change in order to buy from you? So getting all of those ideas out of your head is helping you to be prepared with your content. And then you can move into the plan stage, which is a really high level idea of looking at what content you're creating over the next 90 days. I do it for each quarter, and this is a perfect time to do it, being the first of a new business quarter. Really start high level. What is my intention? What do I want my content to do this quarter? What do I want it to achieve for me and my business, as well as for my ideal client? And what stage is my ideal client in? Can I align this with a launch or a specific email sequence? Then the third P is produce, which is creating the thing, actually doing it, creating from a place of presence, of being grounded and from the heart, and letting it be really simple and focused. And then the last P is process. And that's really about how can I amplify this message? What felt aligned with what I created, and how can I do more of it more easily? How can I begin to make it easier, more efficient for me to produce more content? And what can I actually carry forward into the next 90 days with me? And thinking about these tweaks that you can make to your content to attract the right people into your life through the lens of the 4 Ps can really help to create rhythm in your content. And it really supports your consistency without any added pressure. Now, I know that these kind of things can often feel really simple when you hear it, but it's truly powerful when you actually apply it. So if you're listening to this episode and you're thinking that you'd love help to make simple but powerful changes to your content to start bringing in the right people into your world instead of all the people, then I'd love to invite you to come and join my membership, The Content Effect. It's really a beautiful, intimate community of heart-led entrepreneurs who are learning and supporting each other along the way to be more themselves with their content and to ditch those shoulds and create content that is strategic as well as from the heart. Because yes, it is possible. You can go and visit thecontenteffect.com.au/join for more information on the membership. I would love to see you inside. Okay, so we've reached that point in the episode where I love to give you some questions to really ponder, to embody the ideas around this particular episode. So the first question is, who is the one person I most want my content to reach right now? Make sure you think about them when you're creating. The second question is, what intention am I currently bringing to my content, and is it clear? And the third one is, am I speaking to where my audience is right now or where I want them to be? So I really encourage you to think about these questions, come back to them at a later stage and journal on them if you want to do so. Now, the shifts, I think, today that we've explored aren't these, big, huge, dramatic things that you need to implement into your content that's going to take weeks and weeks and weeks. They're small, intentional things that you can change in your content right now, today. When you're speaking to that one person, when you're creating with intention, when you're meeting your audience where they are and allowing yourself to be present in that creation process, then your content begins to connect in a very, very different way with your audience. And that's what helps to reach the right people. Not more effort, but more alignment with heart always.